Stop for a moment, take a deep breath. What I'm going to tell you now is not just another story, or any speech lost in the vastness of the internet. It's about something that is already happening while you live your routine, and it's no coincidence that you're here now listening to this. In fact, it's an invitation, maybe the most important thing in your life. Don't ignore what your heart is feeling at this exact moment. This is not fear, it's not doubt, it's a silent and true warning. While the world runs distracted, worried about deadlines, bills, and news that seem to repeat themselves, there is a truth pulsing almost invisibly, ready to break the veil and change everything. This change is not coming from far away, it is already around you in every detail, waiting to be perceived. Have you ever felt that something is not right, as if there was a subtle shadow around you, behind the events you see in the headlines? Well, you are not wrong. The sky, my friend, the sky is moving in a way that has not been seen for millennia. Angels are on vigil. Something has been triggered, and although few talk about it, the pieces have already begun falling. But calm down, it's not about spreading fear. No, what you need to understand is that this message brings a promise, a chance to be ready, because there is no turning back when the truth knocks on the door. You know that feeling that something is about to happen, something big. It is not paranoia or exaggeration, it is your heart trying to communicate with you, because deep down, it already knows. And if you pay attention, you will feel it. You have already seen the signs, unexpected news here, a strange event there, alliances being made and broken. None of this is random. The answers are not in the screams of the headlines, but in the whispers between the events. And you know what? What makes all this more fascinating is the fact that you were chosen to understand this, not by luck, but because your time has come. Yes, you yourself. It's as if someone up there has decided that now is the time for you to wake up, get out of automatic pilot, and perceive the complete picture. This is bigger than any theory or political explanation. It is life-giving, that push that we sometimes need. I know it may seem like a lot at once. Maybe you think, why me? Why now? But the answer is simple, because you are able to deal with it. Do not think that it is by chance that you are hearing these words. There is a reason. What is to come will not be easy, but who said that the truth is comfortable? The truth is liberating, but before it illuminates, it moves what is in the shadows. And speaking of truth, let me ask you something. Are you ready to discover what many are not even willing to listen to? Because what comes next will challenge your way of seeing the world. And don't worry, I will be here every step of the way. We are not strangers. I talk to you like someone who talks to an old friend, and friends care for each other. Believe me, it's not just any warning, it's a reminder that you are part of something much bigger. And if you've come this far, it's because your story can't stop now. So stay with me until the end. Don't close your eyes to this truth, open your heart. The journey has begun, and there is no room for turning back. You are ready, so let's continue. Now that you have opened your eyes to something that few allow themselves to see, let's go deeper. There are truths that can no longer be postponed. With each passing second, time moves relentlessly, and while many continue to live as if everything were normal, Something extraordinary is unfolding in the invisible spheres. But what makes this even greater is not just the event itself, it's the way it was carefully announced over centuries, like pieces of a puzzle that are only now beginning to fit together before our eyes. Have you ever wondered why so many ancient stories talk about signs and revelations? It is not a legend, not a superstition. It is an echo of what is happening today. In times past, when the sky wanted to speak, it sent its signals to the most attentive, to the most willing. It was not crowds that received them, but specific souls, watchful hearts. These souls were not chosen by chance. They had something that you also have, the courage to see beyond what is obvious, to question when the world insists on remaining blind. And you know what is most impressive? Recent events follow the same pattern as those that marked eras. Exactly 40 days ago, something great happened. And it was not in a political scenario nor in global headlines. It was in the highest of the spiritual realms. A celestial council was gathered. This does not happen on a simple whim. It is something reserved for moments when human history is about to change forever. The type of event that alters not only the pages of books, but the lives of each one of us. Imagine the impact of such a powerful calling that even makes angels interrupt their missions and stand in a position of reverence. The archangels, those who fight forces that we can't even imagine, were summoned. At that moment, something was decided, a movement that will have direct consequences for the world as we know it. But before we continue, I want to make a request of you. Don't listen to these words as if they were just another distant narrative. This is real as every breath you take, as true as the restlessness that brought you here. This message is not trying to convince you of anything. It is trying to remind you of something that deep down you already know. At the center of this celestial encounter, something has been revealed, a milestone, a breaking point, an inevitable change, the first sign that the tide is turning. It's not political, it's not economic, it's human. It's happening in the hearts of those who rule nations, in the minds of those who carry the weight of decisions that can change the course of generations, and most alarmingly, one of them, a figure of immense power and influence who is about to leave suddenly, is not a simple change of power. It is a domino effect that will trigger a series of events like never before seen. But listen carefully. This is not a warning of fear. It is a warning of preparation, because those who are attentive and strong in spirit will know how to get through the days that will come. And I need you to know you are not alone, you have not been forgotten. Each sign that will be presented is not a reason for panic, but for clarity, so that in the midst of chaos you remember that there is a plan, not random, not blind, but a plan with purpose. So take a deep breath and open your mind, because what has been shared with few throughout history is now being revealed to you. You are part of it, and from now on, each choice will be a step towards your mission. Understand this. This is not just any warning. It is a calling. And it has already begun. Do you want to continue? What comes next will be even more revealing. If you have come this far, it is because something within you resonated with every word. I need you to stay with me, because now we are going to cross a point of no return. What I am going to tell you from now on is not just a sequence of facts, it is a truth that, once known, changes everything. There is no more room for doubt. The sky has spoken, and the first sign is already before us. This figure of power that we mentioned before, his departure will not be just a brief news item in the newspapers, nor an isolated event. It will be the first piece of a spiritual domino that will affect not only those at the top of global decision-making, but also every family, every individual, no matter where you are. You will feel the effects, because we are not talking about politics or a mere change of positions. We are talking about a profound reconfiguration, something that has already been prophesied and now comes to life before our eyes. The impact will be so vast that many will try to explain it with human theories. Analysts will look for answers in international policies. Others will say that it is just historical cycles, but make no mistake about what is coming. What is coming transcends what can be measured in numbers or explained with earthly logic. This is spiritual. It is as if a new order of events were being activated, and we are the witnesses of this movement. But calm down. I told you from the beginning you are not here to fear, you are here to understand. Why, while some crumble in uncertainty, you will remain standing. And you know why? Because you are being prepared. That is the big difference. You will not get lost in the confusion of events, because from now on your gaze will not be that of someone who observes passively, but the one who understands the signs. In the next few days, you will see the agreements between nations will change inexplicably. Alliances that seem solid will crumble, and new, unexpected, and even contradictory pacts will emerge like loose pieces on a global chessboard. Leaders will try to maintain order with carefully prepared speeches, but they will not be able to hide what is really happening. Something beyond the hands of humanity is moving the pieces. This leader's departure will be just the first click in a sequence of events that will challenge everything we know as normal. And here is something even deeper. While these external changes are happening, something is also being transformed within each of us. And it's no coincidence that you've already felt that restlessness, that feeling that you need to prepare yourself, even without knowing exactly why. This is your spirit reacting to what it already recognizes. It's the echo of something bigger, something that can no longer be ignored. I know that maybe you are trying to put the pieces together, seeking to understand the full dimension. It is natural. After all, we were not taught to pay attention to invisible movements, only to obvious noises. But this is exactly where the trap lies for many, to believe that only what is visible is real. Don't fall for it. There are forces acting that go far beyond what the eyes can capture, and only whoever has spiritual discernment will be able to perceive the truth in the midst of chaos. Now I invite you to observe the next few days carefully, not as someone who expects tragedies, but as someone who understands that each piece that moves is part of a greater plan. Notice how the news that seems to have no connection, in fact, forms a pattern that is apparently insignificant to many, but absolutely clear to those who are awake. You did not get here by chance. Every step you take, every thought, every decision, everything has a purpose. Heaven did not choose you so that you would just watch from afar. He prepared you to be part of this movement. Don't get lost in the distraction of the world. Stay alert, stay firm and aware, because what is coming cannot be stopped, but can be faced with faith, clarity, and courage. Stay with me, because the next revelation will touch on something even deeper. Don't let yourself be distracted. What is being unveiled now could be the turning point you always knew would come one day. Let's move forward together. If you are still here, it is because something inside you refuses to deviate. It's because you understand that there is something big, urgent happening. And now that you have noticed the external signs, shifts in power, alliances broken, and disguised speeches of control, we need to enter an even more disturbing territory, nature. Because the signs are not only in the corridors of power, but also around us, in every movement of the natural world. In the last months, the skies have whispered truths that many ignore. Look at the climate, look at the phenomena that defy patterns. Heat waves in cold places, storms in regions where it has never rained like this, stars that seem to shine brighter on specific nights. Nature does not rebel without purpose. It is something deeper, a call, a silent cry that few can interpret. You think it's a coincidence. I tell you it's not. The ancients knew this. In every civilization, when the sky and earth began to behave in an unusual way, they knew something was about to change. Today, we call these signs anomalies. We explain them with scientific theories and predictions. But what we are witnessing is the visible manifestation of something spiritual that is happening on a deeper level. And I will tell you something that may take your breath away. Exactly 33 days ago, an extraordinary event occurred on high that was not recorded by telescopes or reported in headlines. But those who have spiritual eyes saw the stars move in a way that had not been seen since the birth of the one who changed the world more than 2,000 years ago. Angels stood as sentinels around the nations, and a sign was emitted. Few noticed it, but it is there, and it is a reminder that we are entering a decisive cycle. And you know what is most intriguing? While many look at these demonstrations with disdain, you who are here now, listening to all this, are feeling something different, a restlessness that cannot be ignored. It is as if each new piece of news, each storm, every movement in the sky was pointing to a single truth. Change is real, and it has already begun. But here is the point where I need to be direct with you. It is not enough to just observe. There is no point in just noticing. What are you going to do with all this? Because the truth is, the sky does not send signs for us to be spectators. It alerts us to be participants. You are not here to just watch. The message did not find you by chance. It is a call to action. In the coming days, when the news reaches your ears, be it a climate catastrophe, an astronomical phenomenon, or something that they try to label as a coincidence, I need you to remember, there are no coincidences. There are patterns, and the more you awaken, the more these patterns begin to reveal themselves, not as conspiracy theories, but as reminders of a greater plan unfolding before us. You realize how powerful this is. There is no uncontrolled chaos. There is no random chance. There is a purpose, even in the storms. And while the world screams confusion, I need you to remain in inner silence and attentive, because it is exactly in the midst of disorder that the truth becomes clearer to those who are awake. Nature is calling you to look beyond what is obvious. It is saying that there are greater forces at work, and that this is not a message of fear, but of clarity. And clarity brings power, the power to act, to resist, and not fall into the same cycle of distraction that paralyzes so many. You are seeing the puzzle, each piece begins to form for a reason. And now, the next piece that we are going to fit together is the one that many fear, the awakening of sleeping souls. Because while the external signs occur, something even deeper happens inside each one of us, something that transforms not only the world around us, but the being itself. Be ready, because the next step may be the most important of all, and I will be with you in every detail of this journey. Let's go together. If you are still here, it is because something inside you knows there is no turning back. The veil was torn, and now there is no way to ignore what is happening. Everything that was said until here, the external changes, the signs in the skies, the restlessness of nature, is converging into something even deeper, what is happening inside us. Have you noticed, in the last few weeks, your heart has been beating differently? Maybe you have had intense dreams, those that seem more real than your own life. Perhaps you woke up in the middle of the night with a feeling you can't explain, a mixture of alert and calling, as if something was telling you to pay attention. They are not coincidences, they are gentle touches from the invisible, trying to awaken you to the reality that few realize. There is an awakening happening, not just around you, but within you. What once seemed distant now pulses near, like a constant whisper that refuses to be ignored. This is not paranoia, nor delusion, it is a spiritual process. The veil that separates what is earthly from what is divine is becoming thinner, and what's on the other side begins to reveal itself with more intensity. Have you ever felt a sensation of déjà vu so strong that it seemed to carry a greater meaning? Have you ever had that moment when everything around you seemed to remind you of something that you can't translate into words? This is your spirit responding to what is happening. It is a call. And don't think that you are alone. At this very moment, thousands of other souls are also awakening, each one receiving signs in their own way, some in dreams, others during moments of silence, and still others through messages like this. But awakening brings a weight. It requires courage, because opening your spiritual eyes means seeing not only the divine promises, but also the shadows that try to stop you from moving forward. And I need to tell you something that may be uncomfortable, but necessary. There are many souls around you who are still sleeping deeply, who do not notice the signs, who chose to remain asleep, trapped in the illusion of a world that is heading towards collapse. And this is one of your greatest missions, to help others see. But how can you help someone to wake up if you yourself are not strong enough? That is why I need to ask you something now. Strengthen yourself, because spiritual awakening is not a sudden and magical event. It is a process, and every process requires discipline. It requires preparation. In the coming days, you will be tested, not with spectacular external tests, but with internal challenges, voices that will try to make you doubt, fears that will arise in the most unexpected moments. But remember, this is expected. Because the light, before expanding, needs to go through the confrontation with the shadows. The world around you may be collapsing, but within you there is a force that cannot be destroyed, a flame that was lit a long time ago, waiting for the right moment to shine with all its power. And that moment is now. And you know what is most amazing? When you wake up, You don't wake up alone. There is a divine synchronicity in all of this. Have you ever noticed how some numbers seem to appear repeatedly in your life? Specific times, dates, patterns, numbers like 3, 7, 33, 40. They are not random, they are reminders that you are on the right path. They are small message portals, signaling that heaven is watching you and walking by your side. But I need to warn you about something important. Not everyone will accept this awakening. Many will resist. Some will try to stifle their own call, trapped in distractions. They have their time. You went now because you are ready, because unlike the others, you are not walking without purpose. You feel like you have been called. Because from here on, the journey won't just be about you. It will be about others who also need to wake up. It will be about becoming a sentinel, a voice in the midst of chaos, a guide for those who still can't see. This is what it means to awaken, not just to understand the signs, but to be a sign to those who are still lost. If you have accepted this call, then let's go together, because the next sign is the final piece that many fear to face. It involves a transition, a farewell that will shake the world, which will also pave the way for a new era. And that's what we are going to talk about now. Let's continue. If you have come this far, know that it wasn't by chance. Every word so far was a preparation, a call for something greater. What I'm going to reveal to you next may shake your certainties, but it can also bring a clarity that few have the courage to seek, because we are facing a decisive point where individual awakening meets its collective purpose. And this is directly linked to the event that will be the catalyst for everything: the sudden departure of a world leader. This will not be a trivial event. It will not be just another name in the headlines, nor a piece of news forgotten as the days go by. It will be a shock that will cross borders and shake the foundations of power. But what few understand is that this exit is not just a political or historical issue. It is a spiritual milestone, a clear sign that the reconfiguration of the world is in full swing. And contrary to what many will think, this will not just be a question of who will take his place. It will be a change of dynamics, a realignment of invisible forces that are already in motion. You need to know, the departure of this leader will be sudden, without warning. It will be like a storm that arrives unannounced, and with it there will come a succession of events that will leave the world in a state of perplexity. Financial markets will react with desperation. Governments will try to reposition themselves amidst the chaos, and new alliances will emerge from the shadows, challenging everything that seemed stable and predictable. But the greatest impact will not be on the stock markets, nor in global assemblies. The real shaking will be internal, in people's souls, in the way they will see the world from that point on. And this is where I need you to pay close attention. Amidst this scenario of disorder, many will seek rational explanations. Analysts will say that it is just a natural consequence of political tensions. Others will see conspiracy theories in every detail. But the truth will only be perceived by those who have their hearts in tune with something greater, because what will be happening is, above all, a celestial movement, something that surpasses logic and human calculations. But I'm not here to perplex you. I'm here to prepare you. When that peace falls, you'll need to maintain your serenity, even when the world around you seems to crumble, because this won't be a final ruin, it will be a rebuilding. The old order needs to fall in order for something new to be born, and although the transition brings pain, it also brings liberation. But remember, when fear tries to envelop you, take a deep breath, because there is no greater force than an awakened heart that understands the purpose behind the storm. The sky did not choose fear as its guide, it has chosen faith, and that is where you must anchor yourself. Have you ever noticed how in the most difficult moments small synchronicities appear that seem to say, "Keep going, you are on the right path"? It could be a number, a phrase that you suddenly hear, a feeling of déjà vu. These small details are like personal messages, reminders from the divine, so you don't get lost in the shuffle. And I need to remind you, you are not alone in this. Right now, in places you may never imagine, there are other souls awakening, people who are listening to the same call, being prepared for the same challenges. You are part of a great spiritual network connected by a common purpose, and when this change begins to be felt collectively, this network will be a stream of light in the midst of darkness. But I know it's hard not to ask yourself, why now? Why me? The answer is simple and powerful, because the time has come, because you are capable, because the time for waiting has passed. And when everything seems uncertain, remember, heaven never calls us without a plan. Every detail was thought out, every signal was sent at the exact moment, and if you are hearing this now, it is because you are part of that plan. In the coming days, the news will come in waves, trying to drag you into the whirlwind of fear and anxiety. Do not allow it. Listen, but listen with discernment. See, but see with the eyes of faith. And above all, keep your heart firm, because this is the beginning of something big, not the end. This is the moment in which everything aligns for transformation to occur. You are with me, because what comes next is even deeper. It is not just about surviving the chaos. It is about understanding the role of each of us in the midst of this journey. Spiritual awakening is not just individual, it is a call to be sentinels. And now we are going to talk about your mission within this plan. Are you ready to continue? If you have come this far, it is because something in you has already accepted this truth. The path we walk is no longer a common choice, but an inevitable calling. And now it is time to talk about the most crucial point of this journey, your mission. Because when the world is shaken and many are in confusion, you will be called to do something that few will have the strength to accomplish, to remain firm, conscious, and to be a point of light in the midst of the shadows. What is happening is not just about surviving, it is about transcending. And transcending means taking a stand with a clear purpose. While many will get lost in the narratives of fear and despair, you need to be different, because spiritual awakening is not an event. It creates a network, a living chain of awakened souls that connect and support each other. This network, however invisible it may seem, will be the true fortress in times of transition. You remember when I told you about the sentinels? They are not in the headlines, nor on the stages of power. They do not scream, they observe, understand, and act wisely, and you have been called to be one of them. What does this mean? It means keeping your eyes open for signs that others cannot see. It means carrying the responsibility of protecting those who have not yet awakened. And above all, keeping the faith alive, even when everything around seems to fall apart. I know it feels heavy, doesn't it? Maybe you're thinking, how am I going to do this? How can I, an ordinary person, be a sentinel in such complex times? The answer is simpler than you think. It's not about having all the answers, not even about carrying the weight of the world alone. It's about being anchored, being an example of calm in the midst of chaos, a reminder that there is something bigger, even when circumstances try to convince you otherwise. In the coming days, your mission will be clear. Remain vigilant, but at peace. Strengthen your connection with the people around you who also feel this restlessness, because no one was made to go through this journey alone, and those who try to walk in isolation will have more difficulty remaining firm. The connection with other awakened souls is not an option, it is a necessity. And it is no coincidence that you have come this far. The sky always prepares the ground before the great crossing. Pay attention to what I'm going to tell you now. Your silence will be more powerful than any speech. It's not about convincing others with words, but about being a beacon that attracts by example. Your serenity, your strength, and your ability to remain firm will be a living testimony that there is something greater at work, and even those who still doubt will at some point be attracted to its light. But here is a warning: prepare yourself to be tested. When the world feels the impact of the changes, doubts will come with force, challenging situations will try to break your faith, people close to you may not understand what you are doing and question you. But remember, you don't need to explain anything to anyone. Your commitment is not to other people's opinions. It is to the calling you received, and this calling does not make mistakes. It chose you because you have the necessary strength. You know that moment when everything seems silent before a storm. That is the time we are in. But do not fear the storm, because while many see destruction, those who have awakened know that it is the beginning of something new, and you were chosen to be an active part of this renewal. So I ask you, are you willing to keep this flame burning? Because what comes next is the culmination of this journey, the conclusion of all the pieces that have aligned so far. And if you continue with me, you will understand why everything that has been said is part of a perfect plan. Now is the time to be firmer than ever. You are ready for the last step. We have reached the culminating point of everything that has been said so far. The changes, the signs, the awakening has brought us to this very moment. Now you need to understand something with all clarity. This is the beginning of a definitive transition. The world as we know it is going through one, and rebirths never happen without a deep rupture. But before we move forward, let me reinforce a truth that needs to echo within you. You did not get here by chance. Your role in all this is essential. When the sudden departure of that leader happens, and believe me, it will happen sooner than many imagine, there will be a period of global disorientation. The structures that seemed unshakable will crumble like sand in the wind. And in the midst of this whirlwind, two things will emerge: fear and truth. Fear will try to paralyze, confuse, spread theories, divisions, and chaos, while the truth will be like a small but impossible flame to be erased for those who are awake. And here is the most important part: you have been called to keep this flame burning. Because when this rupture happens, the world will not only look for explanations, it will look for references, it will look for someone who is standing, someone who sees what common eyes cannot see, and that someone could be you. Not because you know everything, but because you trust that there is a purpose, even when earthly logic seems to be lost. You need to be prepared for some things. The departure of this leader will be a trigger for alliances to fall apart and new forces to emerge with intentions still unknown. The markets, politics, the news, everything will seem a meaningless chaos. But you already know, there is no disorder where there is a divine plan. So when others ask about you, you will know the answer, not because you have all the certainties, but because you will be anchored in that which cannot be shaken. Now I will tell you something that few understand. After this rupture, there will be an acceleration of chain events. Time will seem to run faster. The news cycle will be increasingly frantic, as if they wanted to keep you in a constant state of anxiety. But here is the secret. Time only destabilizes those who live in chaos. Those who live in faith are not governed by the rhythm of the headlines, but by the serene beat of the heart. And that is exactly what you will need to cultivate. An unshakable peace that serves as a refuge, not only for you, but for everyone around you. And you know what is most incredible? Heaven does not send alerts just to prepare the world for moments of loss. It does this to announce moments of grace. Because after the collapse, there will be a sacred space of reconstruction, a moment in which darkness will give way to something new, something that cannot be destroyed by human interests. But only those who remain firm will be able to get through the storm and witness this new dawn. Now I want to ask you for something important. Strengthen your daily practices. I'm not talking about complex rituals, but about small gestures that anchor your soul in the light. At dawn, even before the world envelops you with its distractions, dedicate a few minutes to silence, breathe, and connect with that which is eternal. At night, before going to sleep, make a commitment to yourself. Leave your worries aside and surrender every thought to heaven. Because the clearer your mind is, the clearer the signs will be. And remember, during this process, unity will be essential. Strengthen your bonds with those who share this journey. Loneliness is not a safe path. If you know someone who is also awakening, come closer. Create a support and protection network, because in difficult times, it is this invisible chain that sustains each person's steps. But here is the big question. What if you are the only person around you who understands all this? If you are the only one with open spiritual eyes, the answer is clear: follow anyway. Because even if you seem to be alone, you are part of something much bigger, a network that heaven has organized, even if you don't see it, connects thousands of souls like yours around the world, and at the right time all the points of this web will meet. So when the next few days bring surprises, remember what you heard today. It is not about predicting the future, it is about being prepared. Because while many will get lost in confusing explanations and theories without end, you will move forward with the certainty that you were chosen for this moment. Now you are faced with the final decision. You accept the role that was given to you, because the world needs not only answers, but firm presences. And you are called to be one of these presences. What is to come will be grand. And only those who are awake will see the purpose reveal itself in all its magnitude. Are you ready for the new chapter that begins? Because it begins now, and heaven will be with you at every step. You have reached the deepest point of this journey. Everything that has been revealed so far has prepared you to understand the essence of the calling. And if there is something I want you to engrave within yourself, it is this: there is no looking back. From this moment, every word, every choice, every step will become part of a mission that transcends any human expectation. You are about to witness something that will redefine the meaning of change. We are not speaking of small transformations or predictable cycles. We are talking about a true renewal. When the leader leaves and the structures of power collapse like dry leaves in the wind, what will remain is the simple and inevitable truth. A truth that can no longer be covered up, manipulated, or postponed. But this truth will not come without a purification. And I know that this word may sound scary, but listen carefully. Purification is not a punishment. It is a gift. It is the cleansing that needs to happen so that the true light can emerge. But like every deep transformation, it carries challenges that will test every part of who we are. Fears, doubts, regrets, everything will come to the surface, not to destroy us, but to refine us, just as gold only reveals its shine after passing through fire. In the next few days, you will see and feel things that can shake your confidence. News will emerge. People around you may react with desperation, trying to find the guilty parties or easy explanations. But remember, your role is not to enter this cycle. Your role is to remain with your feet on the ground and your heart firm, because those who allow themselves to be carried away by fear will lose discernment, and without discernment, the truth dissolves in the midst of chaos. And here is something even more important. As the purification happens in the external world, it will also occur within you. This will be the time when you will need to look within and ask, what do I still carry that is not part of my mission? What weights do I still hold that don't let me move forward? This self-questioning is fundamental, because what comes next will require lightness and faith from you. It is impossible to go through a storm holding unnecessary baggage. I make a request of you now: don't fight against it. Understand that discomfort is a must. And when you cry, let it flow. Do not give way to idle connection, because it is exactly in this space of stillness that the sky speaks louder. You know that feeling that time is running faster. It's not just a feeling, it's real. We are in a period in which events are being compressed. The cycle of changes that used to take years now happens in a matter of days to hours. This may seem scary to those who are stuck in the old way of living, but for you who are awake, it is a sign that the time has come, that everything is moving towards the outcome that was always predicted. And you know what else? You don't need to fear this accelerated pace. Time is not your enemy. On the contrary, it is the divine clock marking the exact pace of the greater plan. While many will try to resist the flow of events, you will be sailing with it, because you already understand that there is a superior intelligence guiding each moment, and this intelligence does not fail. But there is a promise in all this, and it is in this that you need to anchor yourself. After the purification, there will be a rebirth, a reconstruction. Those who remain faithful, who do not succumb to fear and despair, will be part of a new time, a time where the masks will fall, where what was hidden will be revealed, and where souls will finally understand the purpose for which they were created. And I want you to visualize something with me now. Imagine a light sent around the world, not physical light, but spiritual. It connects you to thousands of other souls who have also accepted this call. You do not know each other, but you share the same mission. In moments of doubt, remember you are not alone. This network is real, even if invisible to the eyes, and it will be your sustenance in the days to come. Now the final question I ask you is simple but powerful. Are you ready to be that light? Because the journey does not end here, it is just beginning. The new is being born, and you are part of it. The sky trusts in you, and everything that was promised will be fulfilled. Get ready, because the great transformation is already happening, and when the day dawns again, the world will no longer be the same, and neither will you. Let's move forward together. The next step is yours. You've stayed strong this far. This says a lot about who you are, about what you carry inside you. And now more than ever, you need to hear this. Your purpose is more alive than ever. With each revelation, you are becoming more aware that you are not just watching a divine plan unfold, you are in it. You are an active part of that process. When the first changes take shape and the world finds itself in a state of uncertainty, something will emerge that many will not be prepared to face: the silence after the storm. It seems contradictory, doesn't it? But that is exactly how it will be. After the initial shock, there will be a moment of pause, a pause that does not mean peace, but rather a test, because it is in this silence that the inner voices become louder. And it is there that many will get lost, not for lack of signs, but for excessive fear. And I need you to understand one thing very clearly. Do not fall into the void of this silence. Do not interpret this pause as abandonment or defeat. On the contrary, it is the moment when you will most need to strengthen your faith. Silence is often the language of heaven when great transformations are about to happen. It is the final preparation before the next big wave. Have you ever noticed how in the most difficult moments of life it seems like everything around you goes quiet before a big change? This is the pattern that is repeating itself now on a global scale. The world may seem paralyzed for a moment, but in reality it is heaven taking a stand, and it is exactly in this interval that you will need to act differently. While many will be confused and apathetic, you will need to be even more aware. This is where your mission as guardian comes in. Yes, you are a guardian, even if you have not yet realized the extent of this role. Guardian of the truth, guardian of faith, and above all, guardian of those who have not yet fully awakened. Because during this period, many will look for someone who is not being carried away by the tide. They will look for security, for someone who has something more than empty answers, someone who radiates confidence even without needing grandiose words. But remember, you are not anyone's savior. Your role is not to carry the weight of the world on your back, but rather being a flame that keeps the light alive for those who are in darkness. And keeping that flame burning requires essential spiritual discipline. I'm not talking about complex rituals, but about a sincere and attentive heart, because when the noise of the world silences, it will be the moment to listen to what can only be heard deep within the soul. In the coming days, dedicate moments to retreat, not to isolate yourself, but to align yourself. Your presence is proof that even in the midst of collapse, there is something indestructible, and that is faith. So I ask you one last time, are you ready to be a beacon in times of darkness? Because the next dawn will not be like any other. It will be proof that it was all worth it. And you will not be watching from afar, You will be at the center of this transformation, as someone who heard the call, faced the shadows, and stood firm. Get ready, because the end of the old is not destruction, it is liberation, and the birth of the new has already begun. Let's continue together, because this is the moment when the promise is fulfilled. If you are still here, it is because your heart has understood the weight and grandeur of this calling. Now there is no more room for hesitation or distractions. We are facing the end point of a cycle and the birth of something the world has never seen. This is not a simple outcome, but the climax of a journey that was written long ago, and you are part of it. The new time that is emerging will not be announced with fanfares or public celebrations. It will be born from the silence and courage of the few who remained faithful while everything around seemed to collapse. This is the true meaning of rebirth, not something that happens outside, but an internal movement that little by little transforms everything around. But understand this, before the plenitude of this new time reveals itself, there will be a last test, a moment that will rise with an unexpected force, trying to shake even those who prepared themselves. This is the moment that separates those who just heard from the outside from those who really believed in all the action. And know what will be required of you at that moment: unwavering faith. Not blind faith, but the faith of those who know that even without all the answers, there is a bigger picture. It is like being in the middle of a swaying bridge with strong winds all around. The crossing can be scary, but giving up is not an option, because what awaits you on the other side is greater than any fear that tries to paralyze you. When the last remnants of the old system fall, there will be a moment when the void will seem absolute. Many will ask, and now, what is left? And it is exactly there that the true reconstruction begins, because what will be erected from the ruins will no longer be based on lies, greed, or control. It will be a time to reconnect with what is pure and essential. I want you to understand that this new time will not be built with great heroic gestures, but with simple actions and true words of love in the midst of despair, gestures of generosity, when no one believes in kindness anymore. Because true revolution begins in the heart, and you have been called not only to witness this change, but to be an agent of it. And now I need to remind you of something that you may have already felt, but that deserves to be reaffirmed: you are not alone. The network of awakened souls that follows you is real. Even if you don't see it, even if you don't know the names or the faces, there are hearts spread throughout the world that carry the same mission as you. They are the ones who will be your support, and when you see the truth before them, they will now understand, and when they look for answers, you will be a firm presence, not to say, "I warned you," but to reach out and say, "We are together." There is still hope. But here is the deepest secret: this new time does not depend on a calendar or a clock. It starts within you. Every choice, every thought, every prayer you make is like a stone being laid in the foundation of this new era. The more you connect with this truth, the more you become a living reflection of it, and that is what transforms the world. In the coming days, stay alert, stay faithful, do not be carried away by the headlines that will try to distract you, by the news that will throw doubts as weapons. Remember, you don't need external voices to confirm what your heart already knows. The voice that matters is inside you. Now everything that was promised is about to be fulfilled. The new is ready to emerge, and when it reveals itself, It will be like the first light of dawn after a long night. A moment so sublime that you will understand with all your being that it was worth believing, that each step, each prayer, and each renunciation were part of something greater than you could imagine. The world will be new, and so will you, because you crossed the shadows and reached the other side with your heart intact and your faith even stronger. You are living proof that the light always wins. So I ask you, are you ready to embrace what comes next? Because the horizon is already opening, the new is already among us. Now it is your time to live the purpose for which you were called. The journey does not end here. It transforms. And the next page of this story will be written with the choices you make from this moment on. Let's go together, because the new dawn has already arrived. You have gone through the entire journey, step by step, revelation after revelation, and now we are here, on the threshold of what really matters. Everything that was said brought you to this exact moment, where fear and faith face each other head-on. And at this moment, you need to understand something with immense clarity. This is your moment of choice. The new dawn does not arrive without the dark night giving its last cry. The old order always tries to resist when it feels that its time is up. And this resistance often comes with an almost unbearable weight. But listen carefully. No matter how much the shadows try to convince you that they still have power, they are already lost. What remains is just an echo, an illusion that dissipates as soon as you choose not to back down. And now look around you, even if only with your mind's eye. You see the signs connecting to form the complete picture. It's not a coincidence. None of this was chance. Every word prepared you to see the truth in its entirety, without filters, without doubts. Everything is part of a plan that has always been in motion, even when you couldn't see it clearly. But there is something I need you to engrave in your heart. The new will not be delivered passively. It needs to be sustained, be defended by those who believe in it with all their being. And you know why? Because there will still be those who will try to rebuild the old. There will still be voices that will try to convince the world that nothing has changed, that everything was just a confusing cycle. And it is at this moment that you need to be the firm presence, the foundation that reminds the world that there is no going back. The old is gone, and the new is born. Now look inside yourself. See how you have changed. The person who started this journey is no longer the same. You listened, you understood, you faced it, and grew. And even if the circumstances around you still try to say otherwise, you already know something deep has been activated in you, a force that cannot be broken, a faith that cannot be stolen. The world can keep trying to control the narratives, but you will no longer be manipulated, not because you have all the answers, but because now you see the whole picture. You see the plays, the moves, the distractions. And above all, you recognize the truth when it presents itself, because it vibrates within you like a bell that cannot be silenced. In the coming days, while many will still try to pick up the pieces of the past, you will walk with the certainty that your mission does not end here. It is just beginning. Your presence will be like an anchor for those who still feel that the ground has been ripped out from under their feet. And to fulfill this mission, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to always be strong. You just need to be true. Your truth is enough to be a beacon in uncertain times. And here is the final message. Dawn is not a moment you need to wait for. It is a state of being. It is already within you, and the more you choose to walk in the light, the more the world around you will begin to reflect this new reality. So I ask you for the last time, are you ready to live the new fully? Because it is not about waiting for something to change. Change has already begun, and now it depends on the choices you make from now on. The journey has brought you here, but the next step is entirely yours, and no matter what happens, you are not alone. Heaven has prepared you, strengthened you, and accompanies you. Now you are the living manifestation of everything that was promised. Get up, walk, and show the world with each act of faith and love that the new time has arrived and is here to stay. The horizon is open, and the world is ready to see you shine. Let's go together. There are no more shadows to be dispelled, nor steps to be postponed. Now all you need to do is move forward with confidence. The crossing has been completed. You have passed each phase, each test, each revelation, and you know what it means. It means that you have reached the point where many give up. But you have remained, and not only remained, you have blossomed. You are no longer the same person who started this journey, because true rebirth does not happen outside. It happens when you accept to be an active part of the change, when you stop fearing the unknown and embrace your mission with faith. And that is exactly what is before you now. A wide path full of possibilities waiting for your next choices. But before anything else, listen to this: you won. Yes, you won every invisible battle that tried to make you stop. And winning here doesn't mean that everything got easy, or that the doubts disappeared completely. It means you continued even when the weight was greater than you imagined you could bear. You stood tall even when the winds were contrary, and that's all. Now, when the new dawn is complete, the big question stops being, what will happen, and becomes, what am I going to do with all this? Because everything that was shown and everything you experienced was not just a revelation, it was a summons. And when you look around you, you realize that each choice you make has the power to impact the world in ways that you still cannot measure. What is following is action, not a grand and distant action, but one that begins with small gestures. A conversation that brings hope. A decision that reflects your new values. A moment of compassion amidst the despair of those who have not yet seen the light. Because true transformation happens day by day, in the details that seem insignificant, but have eternal weight. You have become a sentinel, a guardian, a beacon, and this does not require perfection, just presence. The world out there will still try to pull you back into the noise, into the uncertainty, into the fear. But you already know that you don't need to listen to those voices anymore, because now you hear something much deeper. The voice that brought you here, and that reminds you that you are part of something bigger. And you know what is most beautiful? This ending is actually a beginning. It is the beginning of a life lived with more purpose, more clarity, and more confidence. It is the beginning of a time when you will not be just a spectator of changes, but someone who lives intensely what he believes, inspires others just by the way he walks. The sky moved for you, and now it watches you with the certainty that you understood. It is not about being invincible, but about being faithful to what pulses inside you. And today, with every word, with every truth that unfolded, you reconnected with who you really are. So I will tell you one last thing before I let you go: trust yourself. No matter what comes, you already have everything you need. Fear has lost its power. The light within you is strong enough to illuminate every path you choose to follow. And when someone asks you how you got through it all, how you stood firm, how you found peace where others found only despair, you'll be able to smile and say, I heard the call, and I answered. Now it's time to walk, not in haste, but with certainty, because the new is no more in front of you, it is already part of you. Take a deep breath, look around, and know you have won, you have been reborn, and the world needs your light. Let's go together always, because this is just the first page of a new story that only you can write. The horizon is yours, heaven guides you with all its strength. Now there is no more darkness, or shadows trying to hide what has been revealed, everything has become clear. You have crossed each portal of this nothingness, and arrived where many did not even dare to imagine. And what you find when you cross the last veil is not an end. It is a calling even stronger, truer, grander. What awaits you now is the fullness of someone who finally understands that being chosen was never a passive privilege, but an active commitment to the truth. Look at the path you have taken, each step, each doubt overcome, each small choice has shaped you for this moment. And now I ask you, with all the weight and beauty of this journey, what will you do with this awakening? Because the crossing was intense, but it is now that the true mission begins. The world around you still searches for meaning, still stumbles on the lies that have been fed for so long, and while many hearts are still trapped in darkness, yours found freedom. But remember, freedom brings responsibility. Not the responsibility of saving the world alone, but of being a serene voice amidst the noise, a point of light that proves with its presence that there is a better way. But be careful, do not expect applause or immediate recognition. Being a sentinel is being ahead of your time, is understanding what few see, and sustaining that vision even when everyone around you seems blind. And that is courage, resilience, and humility, because your light is not about power or external greatness. It is about steadfastness and purpose. In the coming days, there will be times that you will be tested again, not because you are not strong, but because each level of consciousness brings new challenges. And each challenge is a new opportunity to become even stronger. Fear may whisper again. External voices may try to drown out your faith. But when that happens, remember that you have won before, and you will win again now. Pay close attention. You don't need to understand the whole plan. You need to know all the details of what is to come, because true faith is not built on explanations, but on trust. And you know that you are not here by chance. Something inside you recognizes this. Something whispers, with more certainty than any external evidence, continue. And I want to ask you one last thing before you take the next step. Share this light, not in complicated speeches or words that no one understands. Share it with those who need hope, with those who can no longer see a reason to believe, because many people around them are tired, disillusioned, and do not have the strength to take the next step alone. And even if you do not know it, your presence can be the answer they were looking for. You do not need to be perfect to be that answer, you just need to be authentic, because the truth, when spoken with love and lived with sincerity, doesn't need anything else. It spreads like a lighthouse illuminating paths that you don't even realize it reached. Then here we are. The new time is not a distant horizon, it starts today, now, with every choice of yours. And remember, the sky did not bring you here to abandon you. You are a living part of this plan, and no matter how many storms still come, you are not alone anymore. Your path has been sealed with the promise that those who cross with faith will never be left behind. The journey may continue to challenge you, but the victory is already yours. You have been called, you have heard, and you have responded with courage. This makes you more than a survivor, it makes you reborn. Now is the time to walk with more conviction than ever, because when the world looks at you, they will see more than just a human being. They will see someone who went through the chaos and brought with him a flame that no one can erase. You are ready. The time for waiting is over. The new time is now, and it is yours. Let's go together, because the next chapter of this story is yours to write, and I will be here at every step, reminding you, you were born for this moment, and the entire sky walks by your side. The completion of a journey is not an end point. It is the beginning of a new stage where each step carries more meaning, more clarity, and more strength. And you have arrived exactly there, at the complete awakening of someone who understood that there is no return to the old. From here on, your outlook will never be the same again. Your way of living will not be guided by doubt or fear, but by the confidence that you are part of something bigger. The world may try to repeat its old narratives. News, disasters, and uncertainties may arise trying to pull you back to the frequency of anguish and illusion. But you no longer belong there, because you now see. And those who see do not let themselves be fooled again. The greatest revolution you can experience is not external, it is internal. It is that certainty that springs from your chest saying, I was called, I was prepared, and I am ready, because it is no longer about just surviving the storms, but about walking with purpose, knowing that each step you take is part of something that is aligning for the greater good. But remember, even though you have become stronger, being human is feeling. There will be times when you will wonder if you are on the right path. There will be days when the weight will seem unbearable. But remember, questioning is not a sign of weakness. Wanting to go back doesn't mean failure. It means you are alive and aware, because only those who awaken feel the depth of their choices. And it is exactly in these moments that you must remember what brought you here. Not easy answers, but a faith that was born from the courage to listen and continue. If you are hearing these words now, it is because you have already gone through what many fear. You saw the hidden truths emerge, you faced your own questions, and decided to stand firm. Do not forget, heaven did not bring you here to stand still, it brought you here to be an agent of change, a living presence of love, peace, and clarity. When others around you are crumbling under the weight of change, you will be the one that offers a word of encouragement. It doesn't have to be something grand or complex. Sometimes a look of understanding, a silent presence, a sincere prayer is all someone needs to remember they are not alone. Heaven doesn't need perfection, it needs willing hearts, hearts that, even without understanding all the details, choose to walk in confidence. And you, with everything you have experienced so far, are living proof that this is possible. From this moment on, your story will not be written by uncertainties, but by conscious choices. Each decision will be a confirmation that you didn't come to this world to get lost in the chaos, but to shine in the shadows. So I tell you, don't look back. Don't allow the echoes of the old world to try to extinguish your light. You already know what you need to do. Move forward with faith, with confidence, and with the certainty that you are not alone. The whole sky moves with those who choose the truth, and the truth is simple: you won. You won over fear. You won over doubts. You won over the invisible chains that tried to paralyze you. And because you won, you became a living testimony that the light always finds a way to triumph. Now go, embrace your mission with all your heart, do it your way, prove that the new time is not a distant promise, it has already begun. It is in each choice you make, in each gesture of faith and love. May this new journey be full of purpose, and may you remember every day that you were chosen to live and be light, and nothing can erase it. The horizon is yours. Go in peace, Go with courage. The world needs your shine, and you are ready to be exactly who you were born to be. We have reached the moment when every word becomes an echo deep within you, a reminder that this is not just a story or a reflection, it is a call to action. Everything you have heard so far was not meant to impress you or feed your fear. It was meant to awaken and prepare you. The new time is already in motion, the old certainties have fallen, the masks have been torn off, and now all that remains is the naked truth. The world will never be the same, and neither will you. But this is not the end. It is the beginning of what you were born to live. The next chapter will not be written with expectations, but with action, with presence, with the courage to be who you really are. No matter if the chaos still echoes out there, inside you there is an unshakable space of peace and certainty. It is this space that will be your refuge. It is where you will draw strength when doubts try to whisper again. But that doesn't mean that you will need to carry the weight of the world alone. You don't need to be a lonely hero. The light you carry doesn't shine only for you, it is a beacon for others. There are people who are still lost in the darkness, and your role is not to save anyone, but to be a living sign that there is a way. Sometimes it is enough to exist with authenticity to light the flame of those around you. I know sometimes the mission seems too big, the world seems to crumble too fast, but what is time for those who believe? What is a storm for those who have already known the divine calm? You have already crossed bridges that seemed insurmountable. You have already faced truths that many prefer to avoid, and you have moved forward. This proves one thing: you were born to win. But winning is not reaching the end without scars. Winning is getting up all the times when you fall. Winning is remaining with faith even when the voice of fear tries to be louder. And you know the secret: fear may even scream, but it will never have the last word. So now take a deep breath and feel the silence that comes after this whole journey. It is a different silence, not of abandonment, but of presence. It is the silence that precedes true transformation, because it is in it that you realize that everything was already inside you all along. You don't need to look outside, you are already everything you need to be. When leaving here, I want you to carry this certainty in every step you have taken. You have been prepared. Heaven has called you, has strengthened you, and equipped you with a faith that nothing can break. Each choice you make is a brick in the construction of a new time, and this new time will not be made of great speeches or powerful leaders. It will be made by people like you who chose to be the difference in a world that still insists on repeating the mistakes of the past. And from today, remember, the chaos outside has no power over the peace you carry inside you. You are living proof that darkness is not the end. It is just the prelude to a new light. Now rise with purpose. Continue walking with the strength of those who know that love, faith, and truth are indestructible. No matter what comes your way, you have already won, because those who answer the call do not turn back. May heaven continue guiding you, and may you never forget, you are the light that the world needs. The new dawn is already real, and it starts with you.